Welcome back to the Corporate Burnouts. How you doing, Mandy?
I'm doing so good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I've been lost in my algorithm. The social media and the Taylor Swift of it all are taking over pretty much from every angle. Are you
Yeah.
seeing anything besides Taylor
Oh my
on the
gosh.
internet?
So there are some political things in there, but I don't want to see them. Like, I am obsessed with all this Taylor stuff. I never considered myself a Swiftie until probably, I don't know, a few years ago. But now as everything keeps coming out, like every Easter egg, I've been getting in on that. And it's not all the time because there's not always something to share,
Yeah.
but I was sitting there this past weekend in the camper watching the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they teased it and they made it all, and you're like, you have
Yeah,
to
it was this huge
see.
deal.
And it was full of Easter eggs, and now I can't think about anything else.
Yeah, it's been wild. It's been a welcome distraction for sure, but my anxiety cannot handle it. I was telling the girls the other day, like, I feel like she is simultaneously saving my life with this distraction and killing me at the same time because I'm like, can you just drop the album already? Like, I
Yeah.
need to listen
Don't
to what's
tease me.
coming out.
Yeah.
I can't handle the thing that you're doing, but at the same time, I find it so fun. I have been a Taylor fan since the Slam and Screen Door, man, like all the way back, but I wasn't super duper into her for a little while. I got back in like really into her around Red 1989 and then Reputation hit and I was like, I'm here
Yeah.
for this.
Reputation is my favorite too.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
changed it for me. And it was also, huge bonding opportunity with my girls. And I too get into the Easter eggs of it all. Loved the
Hmm.
podcast. What I really like is the crazy Swifties that are decoding all the things
Oh
and I
yeah.
don't
It's
have
like,
to.
yeah, it's like an FBI office with these women and they're digging and digging. I'm like, I never would have thought of that. And they're like, but 60, and then,
And their
Eminem,
trophies
and then
upside down and
this,
backwards. And she
yes,
goes, like,
Pinocchio. Yeah, Pinocchio is on the thing. So she lied to
she's
us.
lying.
Yes. And but the thing is, though, that some of it doesn't mean anything, right? Some of it's
Probably.
just, right.
Yeah.
But basically, everything means something. Like, she is so calculated with how she does this to lead and mislead and to get people thinking, because that's how her brain works. And I can't even imagine being her and being like, look at this game that I am hosting and
Yeah.
millions upon millions of people are playing and they're all trying to solve this mystery. Like, it's just been so fun, like so fun. And it's been fun with Samantha. It's been fun, like, to see her excitement for it because, we're just like 40-year-old Swifties over
Yeah.
here.
We're just old.
Yes, but she sees different parts of it and she is just as
Yeah.
excited as us, maybe more, but she sees different Easter egg, like people talking about different stuff because our algorithm is adults, and I'm sure
Yeah.
that her algorithm is more younger Swifties. So I think that the whole thing is cool, and I've been getting a little upset about the haters and the people who are like, who cares about her? Her music sucks. She's just a billionaire, blah blah blah. And I'm like, though, she is giving everyone all this free fun. Like,
Seriously, and it's not hurting anyone. Like, shut
no.
up and let us have our fun.
I know, but some people just don't want other people to be happy, and that's
Well, it's
absolutely
rude.
fine for them. Oh, I know. It's fine for them, but I love this little time in our lives for things like this because it's fun. Yesterday, though, we did have a countdown again on the screen,
In the
and
middle of a work day out of
I know.
nowhere, I was like, Taylor, I don't have time for this. Like, just tell us already.
Yeah.
And it's just another freaking variant.
Yeah.
I can't.
We were
I'm
like,
not
we
going to
need
buy everything you put on your website. So can you stop interrupting my work day for a different color vinyl?
Yeah, do this on the weekend or something. But
God.
yeah, so that was a little disappointing because I definitely was hoping for a documentary or a single or a music video or, just some kind of like tidbit that we could have now instead of waiting until October 3rd.
Yeah, I am wondering though. Like, I saw a TikTok of a crazy person. I don't know if you saw the variants that came out were called the Shiny Bug collection or something
Yeah,
like that.
something like that.
Shiny Bug something or other,
Yeah.
which is weird, but they go back and two different times on the Eras tour, Taylor swallowed a bug and talked about it. And in both instances, she was wearing orange.
Yeah. That's
I don't
very
know if she
interesting.
I don't know why she swallowed a fly. Like, did she I don't know. Did she make that up? Was it an Easter egg? Does it mean something? Is
It
something
all
else gonna
means
happen about a
something.
bug? Like,
It all
we'll
means
never know until
something.
after it comes out, but
Yeah.
anyways, it has completely taken over life in general, but I can remember, my first Taylor Swift concert, and I don't know, was a Reputation tour the first time that you went to a Taylor concert?
So it was my first Taylor concert where she was headlining, but I actually saw her back in like 2009, maybe. And she was
Wow.
opening for Tim McGraw, I think.
Oh, okay, so you saw Baby Taylor.
But it was no less exciting.
Yeah.
Like she brought the freaking house down. Like she made Tim McGraw look like a moron,
Like,
and
why are you
I've
here?
seen him like 10 times and
Yeah.
he's amazing, but she she always had that big show energy, like with
Yeah.
big drums and all, what I mean? Like there was always a production with it. She
Yeah.
never just sat on a stool and sang
Right.
music.
Yeah. Well, the first time that I saw Taylor was at the Reputation tour
Mhm.
with you
Mhm.
and the rest of our team, which
Mhm.
I'm so thankful have turned into some of the best friends that
Mhm.
I've ever had. And look at me with the segue. We're
I
going to
know you
talk
are
about,
segueing
I
perfectly.
didn't mean to do that, but what we do want to talk about today, though, is the element of friendships in the workplace and really kind of identifying your real friends versus work friends.
Mhm.
Sometimes I feel like they're the same. At least for me, I can look back in life and go, I mean, I feel like that friendship was real, but also, especially after leaving corporate, where my life was completely entangled with all of these people and this place for a literal 20 years. When they say we're family, like, kind of were. You spend more time with these people than you do your actual family. So you
Mhm.
you believe it. But
Yeah.
then stepping out of it, you also like it's a really rude awakening to face the facts that when you no longer have that common ground, the daily text messages at the very least slow down, if
Mhm.
not stop altogether.
Yeah.
The inside jokes aren't really like all those things that connect you kind of fade and then you go, "Oh, I don't really know like
Were they just work friends?
was
Yeah.
this real? What did I imagine all of this?
Mhm.
Maybe I didn't imagine it, but I do think that I maybe put a little bit more stock into what those friendships actually looked like. Not to say that they aren't valuable or that they didn't mean anything or that I value them less now,
Mhm.
but I didn't see them for what they actually were,
Mhm.
right? Like there's a difference between people that become real friends in your life that know things about your family, become weekend plans, not just who
Yeah.
you talk about things with.
Yeah.
Shared trauma or even celebrations, things like that. Like it really does shift. So I'm excited to kind of work through this because anybody that is either contemplating leaving corporate, you're feeling like you're looking for a way out, it's definitely something that you need to consider when
Mhm.
your entire social life is wrapped up in the people at work. It really, really, really does change things. And I will tell you, having not been the first from our team to leave, I feel like I was lucky to have a window into what to expect from other people going into it so that it wasn't like I didn't get blindsided with like a huge loss. I saw it coming. I
Mhm.
took stock of who my real friends were, what that meant to me, and then worked hard to keep those intact. And, after that, you kind of have to either let the rest fall away or let it become what it does and accept it gracefully.
Yeah.
So,
It's just so wild, I think, when someone is your work bestie. Like you're like, this is my bestie, this is my person,
hmm
and then to kind of find out and it's not like, oh, they dropped me. It's like we dropped each other, but
yeah,
to realize that like this person, I told them everything about my life that was happening through those years and and then pretty much never talked to them again. Like, it's pretty wild. I remember my first work bestie. So I worked at a company my senior year of high school and freshman year of college, that I got the job in a corporate office for work program for high school. And so I would go there half day and work, and the girl who sat across from me, so everyone in the office is adults,
Yeah.
except for the two of us. And we were both there on work program, and she was from a different high school, and we became work besties. Like, seriously, we told each other everything. We knew everything about each other. We had so much time to talk because we're seriously just like data inputters, and like,
Yeah.
we no brains were used to do that job. And her name was Maggie, and she was just amazing. We had the best time, and then literally never talked to each other again. You know what I mean? Like, maybe a couple times after we were done, but it was a work only friendship. So we didn't do anything like outside of work,
Yeah.
really, but it's like I knew all of her family. I knew, you know what I mean? Like, I knew
You knew
everything
all the
about everything.
characters in her
Yeah.
story, you knew what
Yeah.
she did. It's so funny because when I look back over my entire adult life, all of my closest friends, all of them, came from work. They all started as work friends. So again, like I'm not going to say it's not possible that the two carry over, but I for sure had those people in my life that I got really close to, or at least I felt like I did. You spend all your time with them. They come into work and they're upset about something and you're like, "Oh, what is it?" Like you do end up
Mhm.
sharing pieces of yourself with those people. But I've also moved around a lot, and
Mhm.
even within the same company and changing locations and that kind of thing. I've even had that conversation. I had a friend, she was like another manager, and she asked me, like, are we gonna still be friends when you're not here anymore? Because I was leaving, and I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know that we will be. And it wasn't like a heartless thing that I was trying to do, like, yeah, I don't want to know you anymore. It was like, I don't think we will,
Mhm.
because we're going to be hours apart. We're not going to have this in common anymore. Like everything that holds us together right now, the glue isn't going to be there. And
Mhm.
I think she took that really hard. And looking back, it was like, wow, you didn't have to say that like that. But at
Right.
the
Let
same
it
time, like
fizzle out on its own.
I
Yeah.
was kind of like processing that in the moment myself too. Like, yeah, I don't know if we are. It was a little bit of kind of a life lesson in that, not even realizing that it was going to continue to happen forever. But the flip side of that is there was a friendship in that same move, and she asked me that same question, like, please tell me that we're still going to be friends. And I was like, no, of course we are. We have to be. And it was like, it wasn't like a thing that I just knew inherently. I just knew there was no way that I was going to let that friendship die because it had gone much deeper. It meant so much to me,
Mhm.
and there was no way. And to this day, what now, 16, 17, 18 years later, somewhere in there,
Mhm.
still my best friend, still my best friend. We
Mhm.
have not even lived in the same state for years, never lived in the same town other than that first year. But it was all about intention, you know? You
Yeah. You
have the
have to.
hours and hours long conversations, you take the road trips, you just be intentional about it. I'm really, really proud of that. I'm really proud of the fact that I still have all of you guys
Mhm.
in that world too, especially given that we are all over the place. It
Mhm.
really does take intentionality to keep those bonds alive.
It does. And I think that that's what some people have a deeper connection with a work bestie that could be pushed on, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're like, we did hang out outside of work. We did take vacations together, but now we don't have the main thing that bonds us. We don't have the people to bitch about. We don't have the
Yeah.
same work issues that we had, but you have to reach out, and you have to continue to reach out. Like, some people are definitely not worth losing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if you like, I definitely have moved a lot too, and with a traveling job, like, half the people that I worked with live far away from me, like
Yeah.
very far away. And so you do have to keep that up, and you do have to make it a priority, or else it will fizzle out because you don't have a reason to talk every day anymore.
Yeah, and especially when you think about the ways that you bonded with people,
Mhm.
right? Like whether it's an inside joke, whether it's a toxic boss, whether it's a shared hatred for a certain task, like, it's weird things that bring about those
Mhm.
connections. Um
Mhm.
and I don't know about you, but I've even found myself like some of my favorite people at work, those work friends, if you will,
Mhm.
then when you see them in real life, whether it's like on social media or you do hang out with them, you go, whoa, this is probably not a friend that I would pick myself in the wild. So it's
Mhm.
kind of special to be able to create those bonds when you have those
Yeah.
common grounds and something that bring you towards people that wouldn't be somebody that you would naturally gravitate to. And
Mhm.
it like kind of opens your mind to other people. And I don't know, you just get a completely different perspective and experience from
Yeah. Well,
being
and
friends with
that's
those
that's
people.
very interesting to talk about because I thought of Sarah this weekend. So
Mhm.
I'm at the state fair and we're walking through the cow barn.
Oh, I was like, "Where's
And
this going?" That
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah. So, but I remember a day because I would have never been friends with Sarah if we hadn't met at work, right? Because
Mhm.
obviously she lives in a different state than me, and um
Yeah.
and she just lived a whole different kind of life. But I remember one day we were talking on the phone and I'm like, "What are you doing?" She said, I'm sitting in a cow barn." And I was like, "What do you mean?" you know?
And why?
But her husband does cow shows and her nephews
Yeah.
and but it was so funny. We're walking through, they are blow drying these cows, okay, and making
That's
them
what
look
Brody
all
does.
right, but they're making them look all pretty, and I'm like, I want to snuggle them. Like, I've never
Yeah.
seen cows that are clean, like ever in my life. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is kind of cool, like watching, because I remember telling Sarah, I was like, we are not the same. Like
Yeah.
that I would never be able to say that out loud because it would never happen to me. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
we have such completely different lives, but we're friends and you know what I mean? Like, but it's like, yeah, you meet those people at work that have a whole different lived experience than you, and you're like, this is crazy that someone who I consider a good friend is
Could
working in
be
a barn.
that different than
Yeah.
me. Like, how? Um, well, I find it funny too, like, and I'm definitely not gonna go down the political runway here at all, but the group that we kind of had at that time could not have been
Yeah, more polarizing.
polarizingly opposite or just variations along the way of each individual person. It brought about some really cool conversations that make you open your mind up to another way of thinking. And maybe part of that is because our friendships were varied in where people were from and,
Mhm.
the diversity from that perspective. But it's been really cool just to be able to have a really thoughtful conversation that should be or normally is a really hard conversation to have outside of a relationship with somebody who actually loves you,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and share differences of opinions and dig into the beliefs and why they're there and that kind of thing, to getting to the root of kind of who we are as humans, and being able to do that with different people that, again, are probably not people that I would have chosen for myself in the
Mhm.
wild.
Right, in
But
Texas, you wouldn't have found anybody
I,
like the rest of
right.
us.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Because they're, out here in West Texas, they're all, well, I wouldn't say they're all the same, but from that angle, from
Yeah,
politically, like,
yeah.
it is what it
It's
is.
more conservative of an area, right?
Yeah.
It's that's not news. I think
Yeah.
that what's interesting about what you're saying is that, and what it brought up for me is that working side by side with people creates a trust too in friendships that some people might not find if they just meet a friend while at a
Yeah.
pool or something. Um, and and so you can have those conversations and know that no one's trying to attack you, and nobody, like, everybody really wants to just help the other person
Yeah.
understand their point of view, because it is important that we are, and this is in politics and religion and, like everything. I think it's
All the
important.
controversial things.
Yeah, well, it's easy for us to just say I would never be friends with that person because they're liberal or they're conservative or they're Christian or they're atheist, but when you're thrown in with people at work, you are kind of you're thrown in, you build a relationship and then find out things, and we don't need to just be getting one side because there's so much to learn, we're
Yeah.
all super right and super wrong, like there's nothing that is proven 100% correct, so it's like you do need different perspectives on all of this.
Yeah. And just like looking at the workplace and how it brings different people together, I consider myself very lucky and blessed to have been
Hmm.
diversified in the people that I've been exposed to, and really thankful for the friendships that have come out of it. And honestly, like even some that were real friends at the time that have, kind of gone away since then, if you will. Still look back on those and like I've got some really great memories
Hmm.
with people that I met from work. And if it wasn't for that, those actual life experiences, the real friendships that came out of it wouldn't have been the case. So um I think there's value in all of it.
Yeah,
But
and
I also,
husbands, I mean,
well, that happens.
yeah, but I mean,
I,
that probably happens a lot, like people
yeah.
meet their spouses at work too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now that you're talking about spouses, let's talk about the flip side of this too. Like we've all
Yeah.
got our work besties, right? And some of them are real friends, some of them are just work friends or whatever, but what about the work wife of it all?
I don't like a work wife. I don't like the what do you call that? I don't like the what that is putting out into the universe, because I think that men and women can be work besties just like me and you can be work besties, right?
Yeah.
I think that makes a lot more sense than saying that somebody else's husband is, that you're calling yourself a wife to that person. I just think is absolutely disrespectful to the actual wife.
Yeah, it blurs the line. I don't even know if that's the right way to put it, but it's like it is disrespectful. And it's like if I were to refer to myself as a work wife,
And
it's like I'm giving myself credit that I'm not really due, or like I'm stating that my value to you is way greater
mhm.
than it is or than it should be
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
No.
It gives me the ick.
It gives me the ick too. And it's just, I said it was disrespectful to that man's wife. It's also very disrespectful to your partner if you have
Yeah.
one. I'd be interested to find out if people who call themselves a work wife, if they are single or they have a husband, or, like, is it mostly just people who are like, you know, I'm just a work wife and I, don't have a husband. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
yeah, and I was gonna say, we're coming at this from one angle, right? This
mhm.
is assuming that if I'm calling myself your work wife, that you actually have a wife.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't. If we're talking
Mhm.
about two single people, do
Yeah.
you go be a work wife? I don't know why you'd want to just be a work wife. Like go whatever.
Yeah.
That's very different. But the other thing is, especially when you're talking about work relationships, sometimes you don't know all the dynamics in somebody's real life.
Yes.
And you should definitely make sure that you're not stepping on toes before you go labeling yourself something
Yeah.
like that.
I've just
To
seen
each their own.
I've just seen too many Reddit stories where people are like, the work wife is overstepping, like we're going to shut her down.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are probably people with the best of intentions and they've just heard this as something that is a thing and they're like,
Yeah.
I'm the work wife or he's my work husband, and they probably don't have bad intentions. But then there are the pick-me's who are just trying to needle or just trying to feel more important to that person so that everyone in the office thinks of them a different way. But it's just like, that's my work friend. You're probably not seeing them outside of work. I don't think work wives see them outside of work, you know?
I mean, I don't know.
Well, I hope not.
I'm just
But
not about it. I feel like it
mm-mm.
blurs the perception, even if it's not blurring anything in reality. Like, why would you want people to think
Mhm.
weirdly about that?
Yeah.
And as a woman thinking about my husband or boyfriend having a work wife, I'd be like, no.
No, it feels so weird, and
Yeah.
I don't know exactly. I've never been a work wife. I have had um bosses where I am like the right-hand man. I think that that is a great place to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right-hand man. I'm good with that. That does not imply anything sexual, but I think that that's they what they're kind of meaning. It's like I do
Yeah.
everything for this person just like a wife would at home, and
Yeah.
that's a whole nother can of worms, you know. But I think that it's like, yeah, why don't you just, you're their right hand man, you're their, you know, go-to person at work. That still makes you important. But like, I can't even imagine how some of the wives would have felt if I'm just like, I'm this market partner's work wife. F off. Like, it was already uncomfortable enough to like that we were going on trips with them,
Yeah.
and to like hope that the wives believed in my integrity, that I would never do anything
I
like that.
think
But
that, like, specifically with our job, I say our job in a support role, and as much as we did with and for our management teams and all the traveling, the trips that they would send us on, there's no room whatsoever in any questioning in that situation
mm-mm,
because it is mixed company. And we always did everybody, like, don't freak out. We did the right thing, like with lodging and that kind of thing. There was no question.
mm-hmm.
But the spouses aren't there to see that. They don't know what's going on when you're
No.
out of town for 3 or 4 days. And I don't really know what's happening. And so the trust definitely has to be there. And if somebody is calling you their work wife, you're probably not getting a whole lot of trust in that. I don't know. We're
No.
spending a lot of time on the
We
work
are,
life
and
of
I
it
didn't
all,
mean to
but
do
it's
this,
the
but
ick.
yeah, it's so icky. Don't do
Yeah.
that, guys.
I
Don't
don't
do
like
it.
it. Just have friends.
Yeah,
It's
lots of
fine
work
to have
friends.
friends. I think this conversation is very interesting because it can go one way or the other. I left corporate with my eyes wide open, realizing that I was not going to keep all of my relationships, and I didn't, and that's
It would have
that's
been a
okay.
full-time job, you know? Like, it
Oh
was a
my
lot of people.
right,
Yeah.
because all of those relationships were part of a full-time job. I wouldn't be able
Mhm.
to take on a real full-time job if I was going
Yeah.
to keep those, but um I also have been just really pleasantly surprised at the beautiful friendships that I have been able to keep. Are they all at the level that I would like for them to be or that they once were? No.
No.
But also, I'm 42 with children and a full-time job. So,
Mhm.
I get
Yeah.
it. Kind of life moves on for everyone
Mhm.
and friendships flow and shift and change and rearrange
Mhm.
but either way, I think there's value in it and it's exciting. It's exciting when they do last, but I think it's really, really important to be able to differentiate what that is because it can also really hurt when it's not what you thought it was.
Yeah. And I think we've all run into that where you're like, this person is like one of my best friends in the whole world. And then you find out maybe not. You know what I mean? Maybe it
Yeah.
was a little bit situational, and that's okay. Like it really is. It hurts. It doesn't feel great, but everybody has a certain amount of time allotted for people outside of their family and
Yeah.
themselves. And you know what that job that you left them in or whatever, or the job that they went to take, like, it can be a lot. And I understand, like, I
Yep.
completely understand. I know for a fact that everybody who I let relationships kind of fizzle out a little bit on, I know that if I called them and I was going to be in their area, or like I would be able to see them. Like, these are not people who are dead to me. They are
Yeah.
just, we've fallen out of touch. But that's also the good thing about working with people and creating a friendship through work, is that there's still like, you've bonded, there's a bond. And so with most people, for me specifically, I'll say I can pick up right where we left off. Like, we
Yeah.
don't have to talk all the time. We can talk once a year, or I can run into you randomly and we can kind of pick up where we left off. And so
Yeah.
that's fun too.
I do love when that happens when you're like, I've missed you,
I
but
know.
like, I'm not mad at you.
No.
It's not a thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's really, really exciting when you do have the ability to like pick up where you left off. That's when you know
Yeah.
you've like found a person you really connect with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. What I'm grateful for is even though some of the really great friends that have come out of it have, were kind of born, I don't want to be dramatic when I say this, but like the trauma bond of
Mm-hmm.
the suffering. There was
Mm-hmm.
no major suffering, but the things that you bond over bad experiences or challenges, tough times, whatever, sometimes that can be misleading that there is actually more of a relationship there than there truly is when it's just based on like, you know, shared negativity,
Mm-hmm.
basically. But I think that in our specific situation, we're so lucky that it was more than that. It was never just about how do we, navigate these waters together. It was, and we always had each other's backs on it. But there was beauty in that we were able to bond over things that we did really love to do, and like, trips to Nashville and Taylor Swift concerts. And, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those things were definitely facilitated by our leadership or,
Mm-hmm.
just part of the job. But I love that we leaned into each other and created that bond outside of all of the things that brought us together to make something really beautiful. Because I
Mm-hmm.
have friendships in people now that are completely different than the ones that, pop up in my everyday life, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
The different types of people that I get to be friends with. So
Yeah. No, I love it
I'm in
all.
my warm and fuzzy feels right now about my
I know.
friends.
You're like, I love my friends. Thank you, Roadhouse, for bringing me some
Ugh,
friends. So I completely agree with you. And I think that work is a wonderful place to make friends because it's where you're at, you know, so much of the
all the
time.
time.
Especially if you work in a place that there are eligible people to be friends with. They're,
Yeah.
nearer to your age and have similar interests outside of work. And oh, we have a Mittens is home. So I think that if you're thinking about, I want to make sure that this friendship is not just a work bestie situation, right? Have you done anything to invite them to do stuff outside of work? Have you
Yeah.
scheduled a trip, just a weekend thing? Or because those are bonding experiences that get you out of the,
Even just a dinner date.
yeah,
Like, are
a
you doing
dinner date. Yeah.
anything to spend time and
Mhm.
have conversations that are not about work, you
Yes,
know?
because that's why a lot of the relationships that we kept after leaving corporate, that's why they were able to happen, because if all we had in common was the job, it wouldn't have been enough because
No.
we don't really have anything to talk about except for maybe gossip of what's going on within the company
But
or,
once again, it's still work stuff. Like,
it is.
if it's work drama that keeps you glued together, it's probably not a real friendship. But
No.
there were so many shared experiences, between inside jokes and shared experiences. There was a lot to lean on in that. So to book a weekend trip, to, spend time together outside of work, it
Hmm.
was easy.
Hmm.
I want to say it's easy. It was easy, like emotionally, to
Yeah, it
commit
was
to
not
that and be
easy
a part
because you're
of.
like, now I'm
It was
not
not
going home for 13
right. It
days.
was not easy to make happen to fit
Hmm.
into all the things, but it made it really easy to want to do that
Hmm.
for sure because it meant something and it was special.
Absolutely.
We could talk about our friendships all day, but at the end
Yeah.
of the day, I just want you to know I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you. I seriously, this this podcast is possible because we're not just coworkers or work besties, like we're real friends. I'm so grateful. Like it's hard to make friendships in adulthood. It's so
Yeah.
crazy because I had 1 zillion friends in school and I still have some of them, like I moved 4 states since I lived, or 3 states since I lived there. And so you keep those going, the ones that are the strongest.
Mhm.
But then, you have a lot of acquaintances. Like I have a lot of people that I talk to and that I really enjoy at swim meets or on the lake or wherever. They're great, but it's really hard to take an acquaintance and make them a real bonded bestie,
Yeah. Yeah,
And
it's a lot.
so finding them at work is helpful because you have that time and you have that trauma bond, or you have that, the inside jokes, and it starts to create a real lasting relationship. You just have to, if you want it to become more than just at work, you have to put
You have to
yourself
make
out
it.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to make it so. So, yeah. You're right. It is difficult to make friends. Everybody has a freaking life, a full life.
Mhm.
And, whether it's, other people already have their friends and it kind of is what it is, or everybody's really, really busy and has their own schedule or kids, their jobs. Like everybody's
Mhm.
walking their own path when it comes to that. So it is really hard, whether you're starting over with new friendships or just trying to add to, and then to discern what's real and what's not, what's out of convenience, what's situational, who actually gives a shit. Like that part is really tough. And well, I deal with a lot of that like everyone else. Just am grateful because even though you never know with some of that kind of stuff, and people can be flighty and weird and all kinds
Mhm.
of stuff.
Yep.
Um, I do know where I have some really great friendships, and it's
Yeah.
so wild to me that I had to get off the corporate roller coaster of it all,
Mhm.
but some of the best things that I have in life came from that too, and I
Yeah.
don't take that for granted.
Yep. They're all put there for a specific reason. I
Yeah.
truly believe. Well, I love this. Thank you for talking to me about work friendships,
Welcome.
work bestie,
My work bestie, my real bestie.
real bestie, But
All right. Well, I appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon, ma'am.
all right. Bye.
Bye.